2024 regular meeting of the board. Please note that budget updates will be made available on the district budget website. All budget feedback will be considered by the board as part of the budget process, which is anticipated to be completed by April 24th, 2024. Yeah.
Thank you. Trustee DeBotny?
Pink Shirt Day. So Wednesday, February 28th is Pink Shirt Day. Pink Shirt Day began in 2000 for wearing pink to school. It has since been recognized annually worldwide as a day to stand up against bullying and to be advocates for greater acceptance, respect, and inclusion for all. This year's theme, All Kinds of Kindness, emphasizes how all forms of kindness contribute to building an inclusive and connected community. The board's strategic plan, Priority 2, Equity Inclusion, outlines our commitment to ensure that all of our students and families and staff feel welcomed, are treated respectfully, and have a sense of belonging. This Pink Shirt Day lets do what we can to elevate the voices of all and take a stand against bullying and be advocates for kindness, respect, and inclusion. And tonight the board is wearing their pink shirts.
Thank you. Madam Secretary Treasurer, are there any materials not included in the packages available to the public this evening?
Thank you, Chairperson. All information has been made available to the public on our website.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Going to ask for adoption of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to today's agenda? Seeing none, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Trustee Hamaguchi, seconded by Trustee Wong. All those in favor? Carried. We have no presentations this evening, but we have a budget brief. Ms. Baverstock, if you'd like to come forward.
Right. Good evening, Liz Baverstock, President, Richmond Teachers Association, and it's my pleasure to be here tonight and to deliver a budget brief. And don't worry, I'm not going to read all 7 pages to you. Otherwise, we might be here till 11 o'clock because I'll add things into it. I'll leave it for your reading. And I am actually going to focus my attention on the continued teacher shortage. And that is not to take away from anything else that I've put in this brief. Everything we've put in here are things that are important to Richmond teachers through consultation with our committees, our executive, and bringing forward those ideas. So I will leave those for you to read about. But what we have been experiencing since 2017, and it's gotten worse and then it's gotten a bit better, but it continues, is daily shortages of teachers. And that impacts the schools every single day. It impacts teachers, and most importantly, it does impact the learners. So this year, and it actually is a slightly better year than it has been for the past couple of years, but what we're experiencing is what we'd call a baseline of 20 teacher shortages per day. So we're short 20 teachers per day. So if you think about that from the perspective of at the end of January, we had about 90 instructional days. So if you have a baseline of 20 teacher shortages, it's about 1,800 instances of teacher shortages. That's what we're talking about. That's a large number. Okay. So what does this actually mean on the ground in a school? Or what's the impact? And I'm not sure that, and I'm sure that you're aware of what that is, but a lot of that is at elementary. And what that means is specialist teachers at elementary are redeployed. It means that the teachers who are providing learning resource and ELL support, they're being redeployed. They're being pulled from providing support to the students with diverse learning needs. So that means less learning support. It means less ELL support. But what it also does is it impacts the system in terms of a system-wide level of exhaustion because it isn't letting up. Yes, you'll see a bit of a change, but it's continuing. And it's a disillusionment that happens as a result when you're having these shortages. So for the specialist teacher, they don't get to do the work that they were hired to do. That means that more evenings they're spent doing catch up. It's teachers in classroom, sort of having a sigh that there hasn't been support being able to be provided to their students in their classes that they care about and they care about their learning because that teacher needs to go to a kindergarten class because you can't have a kindergarten class without a teacher. It results in teachers also saying, well, I took the specialist position, but I don't know why I'm doing this. Why don't I go back and teach the classroom because that will give me continuity? So we have people going into positions and leaving positions because it's just not what they signed up for. So that means you actually get a loss of specialized training that is provided by the district. There is training provided throughout the year to teachers who take these specialist positions, but there's a loss when people leave the positions. And so I know that you could look at this and say, well, what are we going to do about it? I mean, isn't this government's problem? Like, why don't they do something about it? Why don't they ensure that there's more university spaces? Why don't they do some loan forgiveness? Why don't they put supplements to ensure that there is some additional support for training for specialist teachers? Well, yeah, they should do that. They should do all of that. And I'd love to see that in the budget upcoming from the provincial government. But my focus tonight is on what can you do? And so in the brief, what I actually outline are things that I think we can do. And one of the things that we have been doing over the past couple of years is we've had what we call unassigned teachers or contract TTOC positions. We've done that as a proactive way to settle grievances because we can file grievances for what we call failure to fill. In other words, we know that positions aren't going to be filled because you're going to be short teacher each day. So we know it in advance. So we make an agreement in advance. And we've been doing that for the past number of years. We tweak that every year. So we talk with human resources, like what can we do better in this settlement agreement? What could work better for the learners and the teachers in schools? What can provide more flexibility? And I think we've actually landed in a good place this year where we have unassigned teaching positions. If a position can't be filled during the year, then it is posted. If it still can't be filled, then human resources can go to this unassigned list and place teachers in positions. First, they ask for volunteers, and then they look at people who are qualified. It's not ideal. It's not where we'd like to be. We'd like to have plenty of teachers, sort of bench strength to pick up these positions, but it's not where we're at. But I think it's helped. But I think we can do better. And so I actually think that we should have at least 50 of these every year. I don't know when they should be posted. I'm always thinking creatively. I've got ideas. They're in my head. I'm always willing to share them. But it actually provides us, it is some cost. It's a benefit cost. It's for the healthcare benefits. It's the dental benefits. It's not salary. They're going to be paid if they work. If they don't work, they're not going to be paid. It's not pension because if they work, you're contributing to their pension. So it's a small amount in terms of their salary, because normally you talk about benefits being 25%. It's not all of those benefits. It really is about the health benefits. So that is why I'm focusing on that, because it allows Richmond to secure teachers in Richmond rather than them accepting work in other districts, because they can. If teachers are on multiple lists, teacher teaching on call lists, then they can accept jobs in other places. This secures them in Richmond. So it is something that can be done. We can continue to do, we can expand it, but it does take more money. I also talk in the brief about mentoring support. This has always been something Richmond has had, and you can be proud. From the beginning of our collective agreement, we put a mentoring program. We were the leaders on this in the early 90s. Provincially, they added sort of mentoring money in 2019, but we'd been doing this since the 90s. It makes a difference to retaining teachers, because going into the teaching profession or going into new assignments is hard. Teacher training doesn't get you ready for what you're actually going to experience day after day. You're not doing it full time. You haven't gone through a full year. You haven't gone through reporting. So the support by our mentoring teacher consultants is invaluable for helping people stay. They always say, if you can get through those 5 years, you're probably going to stay in this profession. That kept me in the profession. And anybody who's talked to me about my early years, I would have left after the first year if I didn't have a mentor, somebody there that I could turn to and ask for support. So this year we've been able to increase that from 1 to 3 through creative means. Some of that is through some remedy support. And some of that has been through the mentoring money that came from our collective agreement in 2019. But we need to sustain that. And why we need to sustain that is actually the number of new teachers in the system. We did a recent bargaining survey. We had 1,059 responses. That's almost 2/3 of our members responded. We put that on the extending, like if you talk proficiency scale, that's an extending response, okay? Of that, what we found was at least 25% had 5 years or less experience. About 50% or less had 10 years experience or less. So we have a lot of teachers in 5 years or less that we need to make sure that they'll want to stay in this system. And when you don't have enough teachers and when you don't feel the support, it tends to make you want to leave. We've put support there. We've added support there. We need to continue that support. And that's why I'm highlighting these things, because what makes a difference is having teachers in classrooms. What makes a difference is making sure that you have the specialist teachers to support the kids with learning needs. That's what we need to do. And so that's why I come to you with the budget brief. And again, not taking away from other requests, but to highlight what really is draining our system day after day, every single person in a school. So with that, I thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for understanding or clarity with regards to the brief? Trustee Hamaguchi?
Liz, you mentioned about, okay, and on that note, no. The 50 posted positions. Now, one of the things I keep hearing all the time is we've got positions, but we don't have the bodies to fill them. Like, are there 50 people out, like, are there a bunch of teachers out there that would be able to slide into these positions if they were there and the funding was there and all that kind of stuff? Like, are there the teachers?
Well, last year we were able to fill them all at 25. So I say, if you don't fill them, okay, that's your answer. But if you put them out there, you've got a chance. If you don't, you have no chance. Yeah.
Trustee Yang?
Thank you. I just want to thank Ms. Baverstock for the brief and for your presentation tonight. I just want to say that it was very thoughtful, and you've certainly given us some ideas on a whole range of issues. I know the tone and tenor tonight is recruitment and retention, and based on my conversations with folks at all levels of the district, that is certainly a top priority, but certainly lots to think about. I know you touched on Indigenous support for Indigenous learning, environmental sustainability, and all these issues. We shouldn't lose sight, but I think that's a whole very, very broad scope that you brought to the table tonight. So I just wanted to thank you for that, and let's keep working together. Thanks.
Trustee Sargent?
Thank you very much, Liz, for your extensive brief, and I know how much thought and care you and your team put together. You spend a lot of time in making sure that you present something that we will be very helpful in the budget discussion. So I would just move referral of the brief to the budget process. Thank you. So I'm moving the brief to the budget process. If I have a
Yes.
seconder,
Yes, yes. Do I
Thanks.
have a seconder? Trustee Hamaguchi? All those in favor? Carried.
thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Robinson with a brief, oh, pardon me, and now I'm going to go blank. Thank you, sorry. Please introduce yourselves and
Okay, so bear with me. This is my first time I've done this, so I am Stacy Robinson, President of CUPE Local 716, and I have with me Nancy Williams, First Vice President of CUPE Local 716, and that's Richmond's support staff. We have a shorter brief. I don't know how I'm going to follow that, but anyway, so we thought we'd just present the whole thing. It's pretty short, so we have presented it beforehand, and hopefully you've taken a look at it. So we are here on behalf of our EA consultants and our EAs. So we are looking, the union is requesting that the district add 3 new EA consultant positions to bring the total to 4 EA consultants. Ideally, there would be 1 consultant per quadrant with a caseload of 12 schools each, allowing the EA consultant to mentor EAs and provide strategies and skills to assist in their role supporting challenging students. And this would have an immediate positive impact on our inclusive learners and the people who support them. The rationale here is with the increase of student population and more challenging needs of social emotional learning and comorbidity, the EA consultant is overwhelmed and stretched to their limit, which lends to the problem of our current and future EAs not able to receive support when needed to meet the diverse needs of their students. Often wait times are very lengthy. Example, if an EA consultant is needed at a particular school for 3 or 4 weeks to work with an EA and their student, other schools that are in urgent need of a consultant will have to wait. This position used to be shared with 3 consultants, and either through attrition or layoff is now reduced to 1 individual covering all those schools. In addition, one of the after effects of the COVID epidemic, many of our neurodiverse students have developed challenges when it comes to returning to the classroom. Challenges around socializing, attentiveness, problem solving, and self-regulating are common. So that's our request for EA consultants. We have many EAs that are burning out and need some support with challenging students as well. Nancy's going to read the other part of it.
So I'm here to talk about the daytime custodians. We are requesting 5 additional FTE custodians to be placed in the Big 5 elementary schools, namely Ferris, William Cook, Anderson, Brighouse, and Homa. Elementary schools that have student populations equivalent to or greater than some of the district's secondary schools. The rationale is with the high levels of student population, the needs are as great as the secondary schools. Also, this would address the importance of community within a school organization. Our custodians are missing out, and the elementary age kids are missing out on what could be a positive connection relationship with their school custodian, who is an integral part of the school as its caretaker.
Recruitment and retention. The union is requesting that more funds be allocated to the Container 3, the staff development, specifically for more in-house training specific to the Richmond School District's needs, with a focus on all employees' mental health within the workplace. We also request extra funds dedicated to additional training concurrent with the CPI de-escalation training. Rationale, There has been a rise in requests for more mental health support among all sectors of the district. Many employees are dealing with personal issues which can impact their own social emotional ability in supporting all of our students, especially our most vulnerable students. Many employees are returning to the workplace after being off for extended leaves due to injuries and PTSD. With reference to additional training, other than CPI, we believe that there are many educational offerings that our membership would benefit from, especially new employees, and as a refresher for our current employees and staff. This would be another layer of injury prevention, which in turn could potentially lower the number of workplace injuries. In closing, we would like to take this time to thank our school district trustees, Mr. Yusi, our superintendent, and then Ms. Wang, our secretary treasurer, for their consideration and hearing our proposal.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments for understanding or clarity on the brief that's just been presented? Make sure. Don't miss anybody. Trustee Yang?
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, Ms. Robinson, Ms. Williams, for your presentation tonight. It's great to see a QP budget brief. One question I did have is related to the piece around supporting mental health, and I was wondering whether you've seen increases in absences or leaves due to that struggle from your work group.
I can answer. Yes, we are, especially among our EA group. We have a lot of EAs who are off on stress leave. And it's been especially with COVID and everything, I think, a lot of them are coming back and trying to deal with issues during COVID, and they're now dealing with more demands within the position itself. And, the big need is there for the mental health piece because just for the support as well. And I think Nancy.
Well, I think if I could add, long after your injury is healed, you still have that emotional fight going on within yourself when you're coming back to a situation where you could perhaps use some more hands-on assistance, and it's just not there. So yeah, it's a huge part of our EAs and even our clerical staff now. We're seeing that it's coming into the office. It's not necessarily just in the classrooms. It's becoming quite serious.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have a trustee Hamaguchi followed by trustee Tabatni.
The issues around the EAs and janitors are well known. They've been with us for a long time. I'm just kind of wondering, in terms of some of the other areas within your union, specifically like the work shard and maintenance. And I remember before there were always issues of us losing our tradespeople to the city and other places because they paid more or
We're still dealing with that too. We're losing our carpenters. We're losing our electricians. There's always a posting out there for all those sectors. The trades, frankly, aren't getting paid enough for what they can make outside in the private sector.
The hold used to be the benefits that they would receive with the school district. However, now the city, who's taking a lot of our people away, they have the benefits as well. So not only do they have the additional increase in earnings, they have all the benefits.
As much as we hate sort of losing people to other organizations and everything, are there people filling this? Are you having trouble filling the spots?
Well, we've had some people fill the carpenter positions, and we've had them leave just as quickly. So it's kind of, it's a cyclical thing. They come for a little while, and we've had some that don't stay long enough, or because they find better opportunities, I guess, financially in other sectors.
Trustee Tabatni followed by trustee Beliza.
Just had a couple of questions on the recruitment and retention. First of all, you asked for more funds to be allocated to container 3. What is container 3?
Well, well, in the budget, there's a container that may not be container 3 necessarily, sorry. I
Okay,
apologize for that. I speak from my business, admin assistant, Pat, and that's where it always was, so. It was in container 3. Basically, it was just wherever the staff development monies are, and it's just adding more to the staff development so that we can have our staff with more training, dealing with more issues that they're experiencing within the school system now.
and then I also, you were talking about the de-escalation training.
Mhm.
So which group of employees is that for? Is that
Most,
all employees or?
I mean, off the top of my head, I could say, EAs, but it's affecting everybody. It's affecting our bus drivers. It's affecting our bus aides. They're experiencing that as well. It's actually affecting our trades as well. They go into classrooms, certain classrooms where they have to, usually they have to either go after school's finished in order to work on stuff. It affects the whole staff, clerical, everybody's being affected.
I think ideally it would work as a team, a school team, even the administration, clerical, teachers, everybody, because you're all facing the same students, right? So if there's a crisis happening somewhere, I think everybody should be educated in how to handle it.
Thank you. That gives me more of a picture of what you're asking for.
Mhm.
Thank you. Trustee Beliza?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you both for your brief. And I'm just interested to know, as a matter of fact, I'm concerned of that many employees are returning to the workplace after being off for extended leave due to injuries and PTSD. I'd like to know how many are, in these circumstances, and to prevent again from reoccurring, what kind of programs, or is there such thing as retraining
I think there's
in
such
our
a thing
workplace
as
like
ongoing.
other
Yeah.
major companies?
Well, I think we should look at it as ongoing training. And this is not just for our newest people who are coming out of the REAP program. This could also be for people who are well seasoned and have forgotten, what is it I'm looking at? What's the situation and what's the best way for me to handle it? And I think what we're saying is there's more than just the CPI program. And to talk about how many people, I think at the top of my head, I can think of 10 people that I know personally who have been injured so badly they cannot come back to work. Injuries are long cured. It's what remains within the person, the PTSD.
So what do you do in that situation? Do you have to look for?
Well, yeah, sometimes they're told by WorkSafe or what have you, you can't go back to this job. We'll retrain you for something else. But a lot of people, I mean, here again, I can think of some people who are so dedicated to what they do and they truly believe that what they're doing is helpful for the students, that they put themselves back in that situation.
Follow-up question, can they be retrained for some other position so that?
This is what WorkSafe tries to do, but, sometimes the individual is like, this is what I really want to do. So we're thinking we at the school district level, or you at the school district level, could provide more retraining other than just the CPI. CPI is an excellent program to follow, but there's more out there than just that.
Thank you very much.
It
Appreciate
would be
that.
a lot of a refresher as well for existing staff. Some of them haven't renewed their CPI training in years. And it's just the refreshing, it changes all the time. It's just learning more skills and how to deal with the issues that are in the schools now.
I have Trustee Sargent with a question or comment. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Trustee Sargent.
Thank you very much. Well, it's so great to see CUPE presenting a brief to the board, and we really appreciate your thoughtful presentation. And I know we're going to have discussions with our staff around all the suggestions that you've made. And so you are really making a difference, and we really appreciate coming before us. And it's also a way for the public to hear too, and some of the concerns that you raise. And so I would be making a referral of the budget presentation made by CUPE to refer it to the budget process.
Made the
Your
motion.
move, yeah, okay, seconder? Trustee Wong and, pardon me, sorry. All those in favor? Thank you, passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job for your first presentation of a brief at a board meeting.
Next one will be
Thank you.
longer.
We have no special recognitions this evening, but we do have opportunity for questions from the public. Do we have any online that you're probably?
Nope.
No, okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to invite our acting superintendent, Mr. Ryan, to take it away.
Thank you, Chair Larson. I'm excited to introduce our video tonight titled Explorations, Pathways to the Future. The Explorations program is a wonderful example of our district's commitment to strategic priority to equity and inclusion. The program is year-long and hosted 4 mornings per week at Burnett Secondary. The program currently supports 10 of our grade 12 secondary students from across the Richmond School District. This is the 3rd year of the Explorations program, which was designed by Eve Manouk, a retired teacher, Cindy Carr, education assistant, and Teresa McMillan, education assistant. Emily Tan is the current teacher for the program. To the program staff, thank you for your passion and commitment to inclusive practices in the Richmond School District. Explorations is designed to prepare students with diverse abilities for the dynamic world that awaits them. It serves as a guiding light, helping students chart their own path towards a future filled with promise and opportunity. Throughout their journey, students develop a range of skills, and as importantly, the program fosters a profound sense of belonging within our Richmond community. At the heart of the Explorations program is a commitment to empowering our students with the skills they need for greater independence. This includes learning life skills such as mastering transit systems, gearing up for employment readiness, and exploring post-secondary education possibilities. Finally, I want to thank David Sadler, Director, Communications and Marketing, and his team for preparing the video presentations that are shared at each public meeting of the board. So with that, please enjoy the video.
Explorations in one way has helped me plan for my future, to be more clear about my future path and where I'm going.
I'm glad I joined the Exploration program because the program helps me a lot, like building relationship, job training, communication, and right now it makes me more confident.
Explorations is a vocational skills training program for students with diverse abilities. We work on pre-employment skills. Skills around independence, self-advocacy, self-determination, building skills around communication, teamwork, problem-solving skills, social skills. We call these skills for success. Those soft skills that are so valuable in employment, but also in life.
We've been practicing communications, what to say to others, and also we've been practicing talking in front of the class. It has helped me with my communication skills, especially in workplace communicating with my coworker.
We have individual work experiences for each of our students. We go to the work experience with our students and we place them based on students' interests and skills. And we provide on-site job coaching. It's a great opportunity for students to practice some of those practical skills that we talk about in class, things like communication, practical skills like problem solving and teamwork. And they're able to get direct feedback from a job coach when they're there.
I'm currently started my working experience at the hobby model shop. I learned how to organize things, sorting things, and taking stock with the things. And also a bit of communication with the customers. I learned self-advocacy, like speaking up for yourself, and some teamwork. And those are the skills I learned from this class.
Transit training is one component in our program that really impacts students' independence. So we teach them how to trip plan, about transit etiquette. We teach them about transit safety, what to do during unexpected events. So they're traveling back to their home schools on their own. And this is a huge accomplishment for a lot of our kids because it's their first time traveling in the community by themselves.
I'm confident for taking transits. The program teaches you how to ride on a bus, like paying attention to the stop you're getting off. Taking transit is important because it makes me more independent. It takes you a lot of places you need to go or you want to go.
We also talk a lot about planning for the future, about what we want our life to look like, what do we see, what are our values, what's important to us, and then setting goals and developing those little steps that allows us to be closer to where we want to be.
After explorations, I'm planning to go to college and get my driver license and also have a job as well.
When things are set, when the environment is right, they blossom. You see them come so far in such a short time. They teach me that really anything is possible, that they can achieve great things.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Go ahead, Trustee Wong.
So in the district, how many number of students is there join this explorers?
At this point, there are 10 grade 12 secondary students from the secondary schools in Richmond.
So is that as a district program?
Yes.
Thank you.
Trustee Jablotny?
I think it was last year that I think Trustee Larson and I think a few others attended a night where we went to visit the class and saw presentations of things. And one of them I think was, where do I want to be in 5 years? And, you know, it was thoughts on things that they wanted to do and ideas. And there was one fellow that loved cats, I think it was, and he wanted to you know, work with cats. And there was all kinds of thoughts and ideas of their future, and it was very clear that they really loved the teachers that was leaving, that actually had pulled that program together. So a lot of them were, you know, very, very eager to participate and talk to us and tell us about the class and how much they enjoyed it. So.
Thank you. Trustee Yang?
Thank you, Chairperson. I remember being there last year and seeing the joy in the faces of students at the Explorations program. I just love the fact that this program provides a sense of agency, empowering our students despite all their obstacles and really showing them a sense of empowerment. It gives them hope at the end of the day. It gives them hope that they're able to carry on with their lives however they wish post grade 12, and they belong in the workplace. They belong on public transit. They belong. And so it's programs like these where it warms my heart every day doing trustee work. So I thank staff for all their efforts and for showcasing this wonderful program for us tonight. Thank you.
Trustee Hamaguchi?
Yeah, hats off to this program. I spent my many years working in this field, and I've always been amazed along the way, the people I've come across. And basically, what people notice is the disability. But when you get beyond that, it's amazing how many skills these kids have. I worked with a young man who was blind, and he would hop on the bus and go from one part of town to the other, and then come to the ice rink where we had a job for him. And I would watch him get off the bus, and he'd be counting steps. He had his white cane and everything, and he would make it into the front door, and it just blew me away that this guy could do that. But he's not he's not a single one. There's a ton of people out there. And it's interesting now with the work situation, with a lot of jobs going unfilled, that I think you're going to see, if these kids want to do it, because they might have better options, that they can fill some of these jobs that are out there that traditionally might have been taken by high school students or university students and so forth, because of their abilities. And so once again, hats off to the staff, because it's great that they're tapping into their potential.
Have anyone else? I'd like to make a comment. Having been that evening along with Trustee Yang and Trustee Tablotny, it was amazing to see and to feel the confidence in that room with the teachers, with the families, with the parents that were in there that often shared, I didn't think my son or my daughter would ever take a bus, and things like that. And I think for me, having been an EA for a long time, we've come a long way. And I think we're seeing kids, rather than trying to fix them, we're seeing them for who they are and celebrating that. And I think that's the most beautiful thing we can do. So thank you to the staff, and thank you to Mr. Sadler and his group for putting this together for us. This is wonderful. Thank you. Okay. I have, there's a record of an in-camera meeting of the board held Wednesday, January the 24th, 2024. Record of an in-camera special meeting of the board held Friday, February 2nd, 2024. Record of an in-camera special meeting of the board held Thursday, February 8th, 2024. There are also minutes attached for the regular meeting of the board held Wednesday, January 24th, 2024 for approval. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Trustee Yang, seconded by Trustee Tablotny. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Business arising from prior minutes. We have the 2023-24 amended annual budget bylaw, 3 readings. Report from the Secretary Treasurer is attached.
Thank you, Chairperson. The amended budget is prepared according to the Public Sector Accounting Standards, Budget Transparency and Accountability Act, and the Ministry's financial reporting policies. The total amended annual budget is approximately $355 million, including operating fund, special purpose fund, and capital fund. The amended budget reflects increases in revenues and expenditures compared to the preliminary budget approved by the board in May 2023. Staff recommends that the Board of Education approve the amended annual budget by law by way of 3 readings, and also authorize the chair, superintendent, and secretary treasurer to sign the bylaw and submit the amended budget to the ministry. Thank you.
Thank you. The recommendation from the Secretary Treasurer is that the Board of Education, Richmond, approve the 2023-24 amended annual budget bylaw by way of 3 readings, and that the board authorize the chairperson of the board, superintendent, and secretary treasurer to sign the 2023-24 amended annual budget bylaw and submit the 2023-24 amended annual budget bylaw together with the 2023-24 amended annual budget to the Ministry of Education and Childcare by February 28th, 2024. Do I have consensus that 3 readings of the 2023-24 amended annual budget bylaw take place in this meeting? Can I have a show of thumbs? I see. Thank you. Okay, I will read the first meeting of the bylaw in full. Amended annual budget bylaw. A bylaw of the Board of Education of School District Number 38 Richmond, called the Board, to adopt the amended annual budget of the Board for the fiscal year 2023-2024 pursuant to Section 113 is it okay to say it? Okay, of the School Act, RSBC 1996 C 412, as amended from time to time, called the Act. 1, the board has complied with the provisions of the Act, ministerial orders, and Ministry of Education and Childcare policies respecting the amended annual budget adopted by this bylaw. 2, this bylaw may be cited as School District Number 38 Richmond amended annual budget bylaw for fiscal year 2023-2024. The attached statement 2, showing the estimated revenue and expense for the 2023-2024 fiscal year and the total budget bylaw amount of $354,663,935 for the 2023-2024 fiscal year was prepared in accordance with the Act. Statement 2, 4, and Schedules 1 to 4 are adopted as the amended annual budget of the board for the fiscal year 2023-2024. Can I have a mover and seconder for the first reading? Trustee Hamaguchi, seconded by Trustee Tablotny. I now call the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. This first reading is carried. I will now read the second reading of the bylaw in summary, as trustees have the full bylaw in front of you. The amended annual budget bylaw has been prepared in accordance with the School Act, ministerial orders, and ministry policies. The total budget for the 2023-2024 fiscal year amounts to $354,663,935. Statement 2, 4, and Schedules 1 to 4 are adopted as the amended annual budget of the board for the fiscal year 2023-2024. Can I have a mover and seconder for the second reading? Trustee Sargent, seconded by Trustee Beliza. Thank you. All those in favor? Thank you. Are there any questions or discussions? Okay, thank you. I now call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. The second reading is carried. I will now read the third reading of the bylaw, as trustees have the full bylaw in front of you. The amended annual budget bylaw has been prepared in accordance with the School Act, ministerial orders, and ministry policies. The total budget for the 2023-2024 fiscal year amounts to $354,663,935. Statement 2, 4, and Schedules 1 to 4 are adopted as the amended annual budget of the board for the fiscal year 2023-2024. Can I have a mover and seconder for the third reading? Trustee Wong, seconded by Trustee Tablotny. Thank you. Are there any questions or discussions? I now call the question. All those in favor? The third and final reading is carried. Thank you. The 2023-24 amended annual budget bylaw has been read a first, second, and third time, is passed and adopted this 21st day of February 2024. Thank you. We have new business. A.R. McNeil Secondary School Equivalency Covenant Bylaw, 3 readings, report from the secondary treasurer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. For students and staff safety, some minor renovation work is required at the McNeil Secondary School Aspen Learning Center. In order to complete the permitting process with the city of Richmond, the city requires a equivalency covenant being registered against the school property title. So staff recommends that the Board of Education approve the McNeil Secondary School Equivalency Covenant Bylaw by way of 3 readings in today's meeting. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Do I have consensus that 3 readings of the A.R. McNeil Secondary School Equivalency Covenant Bylaw 2024 take place? Show of thumbs or nods? Great. Thank you very much. I will read the first reading of the bylaw in full. The Board of Education of School District Number 38 Richmond, A.R. McNeil Secondary School Equivalency Covenant Bylaw 2024. Whereas a Board of Education may dispose of land or improvements owned or administered by the board under the authority of Section 96 brackets 3 of the School Act, subject to the orders of the Minister of Education. And whereas Section 65 brackets 5 of the School Act requires a Board of Education to exercise a power. Am I reading the right one? Yes, sorry. I just wanted to make sure. Pardon me. And whereas Section 65 brackets 5 of the School Act requires a Board of Education to exercise a power with respect to the acquisition or disposal of property only by bylaw. And whereas the British Columbia Building Code provides for certain fire, building, and safety protection measures for the current or intended use of buildings and permits equivalent performance measures. The Board of Education of School District Number 38, Richmond, the board proposes to install delayed egress and FOB access only doors at the A.R. McNeil Secondary School site, the property, as described in a report prepared for the City of Richmond, the city, by Ericsburg Engineering Limited, dated December 5th, 2023, and identified by the city in equivalency building permit application number 23-035513, the application. As a condition of granting the application, the city requires the board to grant an equivalent be registered against the property in favor of the city. The board has determined and hereby confirms that the granting of the equivalency covenant will not conflict with or detract from the regular or extracurricular program of a school or the current or future educational needs of the school district. The property is facility number 03838064, and the address of the property is 6611 Number 4 Road, Richmond, British Columbia, V6Y 1R4, and the legal description of the property is parcel identifier 027-840-891, Lot 2, Section 10, Range 6, New Westminster District Plan, BCP 39451. Now therefore, be it resolved as a bylaw of the board that the board grant the equivalency covenant to the city in the form required by the city and register the equivalency covenant against title to the property. Be it further resolved that the Secretary Treasurer be and is hereby authorized on behalf of the board to execute and deliver the equivalency covenant and all related documents required to complete the registration of the equivalency covenant. This bylaw may be cited as School District Number 38 Richmond, A.R. McNeil Secondary School Equivalency Covenant Bylaw 2024. Can I have a mover and seconder for the first reading? Moved by trustee Hamaguchi, seconded by trustee Tablotny. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion carried. The first, yeah. I will now read the second reading of the bylaw in summary as trustees have the full bylaw in front of you. This bylaw may be cited as School District Number 38 Richmond, A.R. McNeil Secondary School Equivalency Covenant Bylaw 2024. This bylaw is for the board to grant the equivalency covenant to the city and register the equivalency covenant against title to the property. The board has determined and confirms that the granting of the equivalency covenant will not conflict with the educational needs of the school district. Can I have a mover and seconder for the second reading? Trustee Wong, and trustee, seconded by trustee Yang. Thank you. Are there any questions or discussion?
I just would like to ask our Secretary Treasurer to explain the provision of equivalency covenant.
Sure. Thank you, trustee Bliza, for your question. So basically, this is as described in the bylaw, there's a minor renovation that needs to be done to provide students or staff safety. So basically, that's installing double fob doors. So in order to get the building permit from the city, so there are two folds of the double fob doors. Number one is safety, student and staff safety. Number two is we have to follow the provincial fire code. So there are two folds of that. In order to get the building permit from the city of Richmond, we have to, according to the legislation, we have to register this equivalency bylaw, equivalency covenant. So basically, that's a commitment from the board or from the district to the city that in all times for the current owner and future owner that we will follow the fire code. So that's the requirement of getting the permit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. No other questions or? No, okay. I now call the question. All those in favor? Great, thank you. Second reading is carried. I will now read the third reading of the bylaw in summary as trustees have the full bylaw in front of you. The bylaw may be cited as School District Number 38 Richmond, A.R. McNeil Secondary School Equivalency Covenant Bylaw 2024. This bylaw is for the board to grant the equivalency covenant to the city and register the equivalency covenant against title to the property. The board has determined and confirms that the granting of the equivalency covenant will not conflict with the educational needs of the school district. Can I have a mover and seconder for the third reading? Moved by trustee Tablotny, seconded by trustee Beliza. Are there any questions or discussion? No, seeing none, I now call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. The third and final reading is carried. The A.R. McNeil Secondary School Equivalency Covenant Bylaw 2024 has been read a first, second, and third time, is passed and adopted this 21st day of February 2024. Thank you. We have another bylaw. Disposal of Real Property Adult Education Center, 3 readings report from the Secretary Treasurer attached.
Thank you, Chairperson. So the City of Richmond, they approved a capital project in 2023 to upgrade the intersection of Number 5 Road and the Canby Road to improve safety and traffic flow through that intersection. Implementation of this work will require a road dedication of 173 square meters in front of the Adult Education Center site. So that proposed road dedication is land disposal that requires ministerial approval and then also board approval. So this proposed road dedication does not impact the current and future educational programs of the school district. Ministerial approval has been received in December 2023. Net proceeds from this land disposal will be allocated towards future financing future capital projects approved by the board. So staff recommends that the Board of Education approve the land disposal bylaw by way of 3 readings and authorize the board chair and secretary treasurer to sign the purchase and sale agreement with the City of Richmond. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have consensus that 3 readings of the disposal of real property Adult Education Center Capital Bylaw 2024 take place in this meeting? Do I have a show of a nod? Consensus? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I will read the first reading of the bylaw in full. The Board of Education of School District Number 38 Richmond, Capital Bylaw 2024, Disposal of Real Property, Road Dedication, Adult Education Center. Whereas the Board of Education of School District Number 38 Richmond, the board, is a Board of Education under the School Act, British Columbia. And whereas the board may dispose of land or improvements or both, subject to the orders of the British Columbia Minister of Education and Childcare, the minister, under the authority of Section 96, brackets 3 of the School Act, British Columbia. And whereas the board must not dispose of land or improvements by sale and transfer in fee simple unless such disposal is approved by the minister pursuant to Section 5 of the Ministerial Order M193/08, Disposal of Land or Improvements Order. And whereas Section 65, bracket 5 of the School Act, British Columbia, requires a Board of Education to exercise a power with respect to the acquisition or disposal of property only by bylaw. And whereas the board is the owner of certain lands and premises having a civic address of 3800 Number 5 Road, Richmond, British Columbia, and legally described as follows. Parcel identifier 005-322-847, Lot C, Section 30, Block 5, North Range 5, West, New Westminster, District Plan 23836, except Parcel 1, Bylaw Plan 57105. The property. The board proposes to enter into a purchase and sale agreement, the purchase agreement, with the City of Richmond, the city, pursuant to which the board will, subject to ministerial approval from the minister and other conditions in the purchase agreement, sell a portion of the property consisting of approximately 173 square meters abutting Canby Road, as more particularly shown in yellow highlights in Appendix A to this bylaw, the road dedication parcel, to the city by the way of a road dedication for a purchase price of $410,000, the purchase price, in accordance with the terms and conditions of the purchase agreement. C, the board is satisfied that the purchase price represents the fair market value of the road dedication parcel, and it would be in the best interests of the board to enter into the purchase agreement and, pursuant to the purchase agreement, complete the sale of the road dedication parcel to the city, and D, The board is satisfied that the road dedication will not interfere with the board's use of the property and that it would neither conflict with nor detract from the regular or extracurricular program of the property or the current or future educational needs of the school district. Now, therefore, be it resolved as a bylaw of the board that the purchase agreement and the disposal of the road dedication parcel be and are hereby authorized and approved, subject to approval by the minister. Be it further resolved as a bylaw of the board that the chairperson of the board and the secretary treasurer of the board to execute and deliver the purchase agreement, and upon receiving confirmation of disposal approval from the minister, the chairperson of the board and the secretary treasurer be and are hereby authorized to execute and deliver all documents required to complete the disposal of the road dedication parcel by the board to the city on such terms and conditions as the chairperson of the board and the secretary treasurer may consider advisable, as witnessed by the signature of the chairperson of the board and the secretary treasurer. Be it further resolved as a bylaw of the board that the minister be notified of the disposal of the road dedication parcel with all proceeds of the disposal allocated to the district's local non-shareable capital reserve. Can I have a mover and seconder for the first reading? Moved by trustee Tablotny, seconded by trustee Hamaguchi. I now call the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Or pardon me, the first reading is carried. I will now read the second reading of the bylaw in summary, as trustees have the full bylaw before you. The bylaw may be cited as School District Number 38 Richmond 2024 Disposal of Real Property, Road Dedication, Adult Education Center. This bylaw is for the Board of Education to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with the city to dispose a portion of the property by way of a road dedication parcel. The board is satisfied that the purchase price represents the fair market value of the road dedication parcel. The board confirms that the transfer of the property will not conflict with the educational needs of the school district. Can I have a mover and seconder for the second reading? Trustee Beliza, move and seconded by trustee Wong. Are there any questions or discussions?
Just for clarification, Madam Chair. Is the proceeds from the land disposal will be allocated towards financing future capital projects approved by the board? Is it only limited for capital projects under local capital reserve?
Correct.
So this is more of a trust fund for capital. Other
No.
budgetary.
Correct.
issues.
Yeah, correct.
Thank you.
Trustee Yang?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Just before I go into some comments, just reviewing the site of this disposal, there are a number of mature trees that are on site. Can staff speak to what is going to happen with those mature trees?
Sure, I can certainly respond to that question, Trustee Yang. Thank you for the question. So currently the proposed plan to replace those mature trees from the city is they're going to replace the on the same spots. However, our facilities department is also working on a plan to update the grass area at the corner of number 5 road and the Canby Road to turn that area. Currently, it's a green area, to turn that area into a small garden area, and by adding some new trees. So there will be more trees on the whole Mitchell Elementary School property site.
Thank you.
Chairperson, just a few comments before moving on. So I just want to say, first of all, I support the bylaw in principle. I believe that just a frequent user of the intersection, I will note that that intersection does need to be upgraded for student safety. There are two sites, two schools and educational facilities right on that intersection, and so student safety and safety in general is important. I am concerned about the fact that we are losing green space and green grounds through this land disposal. And I will note that as Secretary Treasurer has just mentioned, that a slate of mature trees will be removed and replaced. And these are mature trees that has been there for decades. I don't think this practice aligns with Pillar 7 of our district's sustainability and climate action plan with regards to greening grounds. And it does not align, I believe, with our strategic plan priority 3, goal 3, with respect to sustainable practices. My worry is that, this shows that our learners that we are okay with unsustainable practices like chopping down mature trees. And I wonder what students at Mitchell Elementary, for example, who may wonder what happened to the trees when they're taught in classrooms about caring for the land and protecting our environment. And so I don't want to belabor the point, but I think as a district, we should strive to make our practices more sustainable, and certainly development, such as the case here, and sustainable solutions can go and should go hand in hand. And I understand there's a tree plan to remediate some of those loss of green grounds, but I will put forward a motion after we're done with this bylaw to address these concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Any, Trustee Wong?
So
Thank you.
I have a know about that the city have a trust the tree protection bylaw number 8057, and the replaced tree are required to be provided pursuant to this law. And I read through is they have different criteria to replace the tree, just like one by one at 2 and 1 and 3. So my question is that the grass grant is the grass field is used by the elementary school student?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So if just think about is that now is that 1 by 2, right? The city is is provided. We need to concern about the playing space for the student. If too many trees is built on the one grass grant, so how many years and growing in be very big, right? So it's really affected to the playing space for the student.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, I now call the question. Did I have it moved? Yes. All those in favor?
I think you moved it.
Did I move?
No.
Oh, I didn't. I'm sorry.
I think I moved.
I thought I did, but didn't I?
I think it was moved.
I think it was moved. The second you moved. Okay, sorry.
I did? Okay, good. Sorry. I now call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. The second reading is carried. I will now read the third reading of the bylaw, as trustees have the full bylaw in front of you. This bylaw may be cited as the school, I need to take, my throat was getting dry, pardon me, sorry. This bylaw may be cited as School District Number 38 Richmond, 2024, disposal of real property, road dedication, adult education center. This bylaw is for the Board of Education to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with the city to dispose a portion of the property by way of road dedication parcel. The board is satisfied that the purchase price represents the fair market value of the road dedication parcel. The board confirms that the transfer of the property will not conflict with the educational needs of the school district. Can I have a mover and seconder for the third reading? Trustee DeBlotney moved by and seconded by, did I see her? Trustee Hamaguchi? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, pardon me, Trustee Sargent, thank you. Are there any questions or discussion? Seeing none, I'll now call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. The third and final reading is carried. The Capital Bylaw 2024 Disposal of Real Property Adult Education Center, having been read a first, second, and third time, is passed and adopted this 21st day of February 2024. Thank you.
We also
So I
have
can- Sorry.
recommendation.
Let me see.
We
This
do
part right
have another.
I can bring that.
No,
This
there's a motion.
Bear with us for a second. Oh, sorry. Bear with me, thank you. And we have another motion. And further that the board authorize the chairperson of the board and secretary treasurer to execute and deliver the purchase and sale agreement with the city of Richmond, the city, in respect of the road dedication along Canby Road of a portion of the board's property located at 3800 Number 5 Road, Richmond, BC. Do I have a mover and seconder? Trustee Wong moved by and seconded by Trustee Hamaguchi. Any any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. It's carried. So I don't know where that went. Thank you. Trustee Yang, are you prepared to go ahead?
Yes. Thank you, Chairperson. So further to, so as I mentioned in the earlier comments, I will move the following. I move further to Capital Bylaw 2024 Disposal of Real Property Road Dedication Adult Education Center, that staff explore options to further mitigate the loss of green grounds at or near the site of the land disposal, including but not limited to an increase of the tree replacement ratio to at least 1:3, and improvements to increase shade near the disposed site. And I will so move.
Do I have a seconder?
A second for,
Okay, seconded by Trustee Beliza. Discussion?
Thank you, Chairperson. So as I've already mentioned, I think we need to have this on the table to address some of the loss of green space that we're having. And just an earlier comment about play space and tree, the amount of trees, I think we have certainly, the motion reads that we shall mitigate the loss of green grounds at or near. So it doesn't necessarily have to be on one immediately right in the intersection, because Mitchell Elementary is adjacent. But I believe staff can work this out if this motion goes forward, so that we get some more trees on the property and some more greening of the ground. So with that, I'll just leave it at that. Thanks.
Any further discussion? I see Trustee Tablotny, Trustee Sargent, Trustee Hamaguchi. Go ahead, Trustee Tablotny.
No, I agree with the motion. You know, I think mitigating green space is important. Increasing shade and trees, it says at or near. I think it's probably going to be near when I look at the plan. And it's a shame to lose the mature trees, but if things, can be added to the property in place of what's been taken away, I think that's good. Plus, I was happy to hear that there's going to be a garden that they'll be able to have there as well, because the school did ask for a garden quite a while ago. And we weren't able to provide that. So I support the motion. Thank you.
Trustee Sargent?
Thank you very much. Just a clarification question. With the reference to the bylaw we just passed in this new motion, is that limiting? Because we've already passed the motion and the piece of land down to the point. Is the motion that you're suggesting, Trustee Yang, is to look at that site? Because I think we pretty much agreed on the lot. So I'm just a little confused, or is this for future? Say that we would like to add green space. Are you suggesting to that lot or to that bylaw? Because that's already been passed and read.
Cool.
Should
Yes,
I-
go ahead, Trustee. Yang.
Chairperson, do you want me to respond now?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think the intent is to address the loss of green grounds on the parcel, and the language of at or near, I think, provides us with flexibility to further green the grounds around that general vicinity. So, yeah.
So that would be our responsibility then? You're suggesting that our staff look for more green space and secure that land, or make it more green, or I just want to be clear on what we're asking for.
The
Thanks.
text of the sorry, thank you, Chairperson. The text, as I've read, is for staff to explore those options, and I'll leave it to staff to do so.
Would that just, again, would that be on that site? Like, are you suggesting we buy land? And that would, I'm not sure what we're asking staff to do. Look for me more green space, that's fine, but that may be purchasing some land, and I'm not sure I'm for that. If it's looking to put more grass in and more whatever, just clarity, thanks.
I'm going to ask Secretary Treasurer to help us out here, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, Trustee Sargent, for that question. So, following the proposed motion, so what's going to happen here is we don't need to. This motion does not affect the bylaw process. The bylaw is just simply the bylaw has been passed. So what's going to happen with this proposed motion is the city staff and the district staff, we're going to work together to look at the tree replacement ratio, whether it can be increased from 1:2 to 1:3. That's one thing. And also the trees, the new trees, they don't have to be planted right in front of the adult education center. It can be planted along the number 5 road instead of the Canby Road. And our facilities department, they do have a plan to work with the city staff to, to increase the grass area once the intersection project is finished.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have Trustee Hamidi, followed by Trustee Beliza, followed by Trustee Wong.
As to the spirit of this motion, I don't have any problem with the spirit of the motion in terms of preserving green space and keeping trees. I don't know who would argue with that one. But as Trustee Sargent pointed out, we've already sort of voted on the bylaw. The Trustee Yang's motion almost seems to be moot in the sense that it's already been decided. To go back and change it now, does that not change? Are we not overturning the previous motion. I guess but the part that sort of sticks out for me the most is that, we're always told in trustee school about the difference between governance and operations, and that we're responsible for the governance of the district. And as for the day-to-day operations of what we do, that's in the hands of the staff, and to that matter, the superintendent is the one who we talk to in regards to the day-to-day operations. And so I guess what I'm questioning is, do we really need this motion? I worry sometimes that, we just keep stacking motions on motions on motions, just for the sake of having motions. And I mean, every motion comes with work attached to it. And like I said, I do try to be sort of thinking of our staff in terms of, the different jobs that we send them on. And in regards to finding more green space, I'd like to think they've already been doing that, as opposed to, throwing caution to the wind and just removing trees that, without any thought. I'm sure there's been a lot of thought gone into it. And so, as I said, I mean, I support the spirit of hanging on to trees and more green space, but I don't really think this motion is necessary. So I'll be voting against it.
Okay, thank you, trustee Hamaguchi. I have trustee Beliza followed by trustee Wong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second the motion because of the principle behind of saving trees and for green environmental issues that we have. Now, we have already passed a resolution selling that parcel of land. So we cannot make use of that land because of reason that it has been sold. So I presume that this particular motion will dwell on first exploring and mitigating what we have lost. So I presume that it will be in our properties in that area. Am I correct, Mr. Proponent of the motion? Because if it is, then it's up for the staff to explore and to mitigate what we have lost. I think it's a good idea, as long as it is feasible, practical, and within our, within our control. Thank you.
Trustee Wong, please.
Chairperson. So just talked before is city have a tree protection by law. This is now is have a 5 tree. So they have the now is remove 1 and get 2 tree for us. Totally is 10, right? So I know that is they remove the tree and replace at the same position, and that after the rest is to go to the grass ground of the school. So I oppose this motion because they say that staff need to think about is remove 1 tree for 3 trees replacement. So that 5 tree becomes 15 trees. It's definitely in this ground, the grass ground. I don't think we need to just like confuse this one. So we need the staff, city staff, and the school staff. We'll just like immigrate for discuss for how many trees to put on.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Tablani, I think you had your hand up again.
Well, I think it's important to think about the wording of the motion. It was to explore options to mitigate green space at or near the site and to increase shade and trees. When I'm looking at this, as Secretary Treasurer Wang mentioned, there could be trees placed along number 5. And so, I think there's probably ways to do this. I think we're always taking away trees in a lot of space. I think our city center has lost a lot of trees. And so I think we need to be protecting some of this. So, you know, as I've said before, I think we should really think about this. I don't think it changes you know, the disposal of the property at all. I think it's just asking to look at, you know, what we could do to mitigate, as Trustee Beliza mentioned, the loss of the trees. So, you know, I really do think that there's a point at which we have to restore things that we're losing. Thank you. I'm a tree hugger.
Trustee Sargent?
Yeah, thank you. I guess what I'm thinking is, you know, when we have a project and our staff look for ways to make it more green, more beautiful, we throw in a garden, we put in some trees, and really that's left with staff and the staff at the school and also the PAC. I remember being part of lots of discussions where the PAC would help fund some trees or help, you know, pay for the benches. And so I think for me, I have an issue with it being connected, that first part connected to the bylaw, because we can't change it. And I'm really happy that we're doing this, because that is, we may be losing green space there, but there have been so many concerns about children actually being on the worst corner for traffic safety. That has been deemed one of the highest accident places. And so we had many discussions about keeping kids away from that area. So I guess if this motion is to explore, I'm not sure if it's coming back to us, or to just say, hey, staff, if you could look for adding more green space on the other side or somewhere where it's safer. You know, I think staff does that automatically. So maybe just clarity on what is explore, and then is it reporting back to us, or is staff just going to be on their own? And then I think the motion's not needed. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I have Trustee Hamaguchi.
Once again, I mean, I'm all for saving our trees and building our green space and doing all this kind of things like that. I guess I have a question to staff. If this motion is passed, is it going to change how our staff is going to work towards dealing with green space and trees? Or like, will this force them to do something different, or will make them go faster, or will it make a difference? Yeah, will it make a difference to how they approach the issue of preserving our trees and our green space and so on? Because I'm sure they're well aware of the need for doing that. But does this motion, you know, motivate them more, or instruct them more, or is this going to make a difference?
Go ahead. Yes,
Yeah.
please.
And okay, thank you, Trustee Hamaguchi, for that question. I think every project is different. You know, like we probably will have to look at the space. For instance, for this one, you know, 5 mature trees are going to be removed because they need to widening that road. Right now, the trees are standing against that intersection. So every project is different. But what I can say is our facilities department, in order to, for every capital project that we deal with in our district, we're actually required by the city bylaw to have a landscaping plan as part of the building permit process. So I would say we're always, as the city staff and then also district staff, they will always work together to look at the ways of preserving green space and trees.
Thanks.
Okay. And let me see. I have, oh, pardon me, Trustee Wong, and then I see Trustee Yang.
Thank you,
And then we'll-
Chairperson.
we'll look-
So now we need to clarify the motion. The motion of free reading is passed already, right? This is a separate motion. It's just asking for the trees. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Trustee Yang, and then I'm going to call the question.
Perfect, and I'll just a few comments to close debate. I think just in general, this is a yes and motion. So yes, we've passed the bylaw, and that's going forward. What I intend to do is, and we need to add more to address some of these shortcomings with respect to the loss of green grounds. I note that the considerations for green grounds wasn't addressed as part of the reports that have come forward to the board. We've had conversations, but nothing was set in stone, black and white as part of a report. And so the purpose is just to provide further direction from the board on a matter that's come to the board. And I think this is at large a conversation about the continuum between operations and governance. But this is a matter that's come before the board, and so the intent is to address that matter through this motion. Just the last comment on the tree ratio, some earlier comments about tree ratio, existing tree ratios. I think we just have to set a higher bar as an educational institution that values sustainability. I know that city policy is 1 to 2 trees, but I think we can certainly do better given that we are in a climate crisis. And if we're calling it a crisis, we ought to do better, and we ought to do more. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks very much.
I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Okay, I'm just wanting to keep track here. We have Trustee Yang, Trustee Tablotny, Trustee Beliza, and okay, and opposed? Okay, 4. So the motion is defeated. You. We will move to, sorry. Any questions from the public at this point oh, did I forget something? Nope. Okay. Oh, please, yes, sorry. Oh, good, okay. Questions for the public? Anybody coming forward with some questions with regarding agenda items? No, but we have somebody online? Oh, please do.
So we have a question that's come in from the public, Dean Billings, and the questions, there are 3. How much is being spent on drug abuse prevention education? What budgets would that be included in? And how much is being spent on evaluating drug abuse prevention education? And I'll suggest that staff take these questions away and prepare a response on behalf of the board.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we have our standing committee reports. Audit, Trustee Yang.
Thank you. The next meeting is scheduled for March 5th, Tuesday, March 5th, 2024.
Thank you. And Education Committee, that's myself. We have a meeting. We had a meeting that was held on February the 14th. That was fabulous. And the next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 17th at 6 o'clock. Facilities and Building?
Meeting was held on Wednesday, February 7th. Next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, March the 6th at 4:30 p.m. Thank you.
Finance and Legal? Trustee Sargent, sorry, I'm looking at.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have 2 recommendations from Finance and Legal. The first one is, whereas the Board of Education of School District 38 is paying for expenses incurred by the trustees in the discharge of their duties, be it resolved that in accordance with the School Act, the Board of Education of School District 38, Richmond approves trustees' expenses paid during the 3-month period ended in December 31st, 2023 in the amount of $10,514.25.
Do I have a seconder? Trustee Wong? All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Go ahead with your next one.
Thank you. And then I have a recommendation that the Board of Education approve a 5% increase to both the non-commercial and I'm trying to, non-commercial, not-for-profit and commercial for-profit facility rental rates for the 2024-25 fiscal year as presented here.
Do I have a seconder? Trustee Wong, trustee Hamaguchi.
And if I could just speak to it a little bit, at FNL, we had a good discussion around making sure that we had covered the costs of the rentals and that this was a 3-year plan and we are on year 3. So the committee felt it was very appropriate, this amount, and then they will go, staff will go back out again and research and bring forward for the next 3 years, perhaps what we should do. But this one is the last of the 3-year commitment, and the 5% seemed very reasonable to cover the costs. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. We have minutes of the.
Point of order.
Pardon.
Just a question on the item. I had my hand up.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So just a question to staff. In terms of our facility rentals, what is our revenue and expense for that?
Thank you, Trustee Young, for that question. I don't have the exact number top of my head, but I think it's somewhere between $300,000 to around $500,000 annually. Yeah.
And so that's the net profit that we're making from the facility rental program, or just the revenue?
So that's just revenue. Yeah, and then
Okay.
of course, for all the rental expenditures we have to incur for including custodian supplies and services,
Okay.
and utilities, of course.
And so can we say that we're at this point breaking even, or no?
It's really hard to quantify that because we charge these facility rental rates on a cost recovery basis. We're not here to gouge our community or make a profit. That's really not what we're doing here. And these increases basically to catch up. In the past a number of years, before this round of increase, the district never had any increases for something somewhere between 5 to 10 years. So this is really to catch up, and then also to catch up with the inflation increases. As you know, the inflation increases over the last 2 years was over 11%. And at the same time, the salaries and benefits, they have been increasing for our custodian staff. So therefore, the staff recommended to increase the rental rates.
So just a quick comment before we proceed to the vote. I voted against this last year, and I still feel ambivalent about this, just because I know cost is a big issue when in a learning community, a connected learning community, rental rates are, it can be a cost and a barrier to organizations who offer education or non-education programs. The way I understand it is that the marginal cost is mostly recovered through these custodial charges that are applied to the rentals, and our fixed costs are related to lights and keeping the heat on. And, I agree with the Secretary Treasurer that this is not something that we should maximize our profits on, as this is a community facility that we all own. And I do understand that this is part of a gradual increase, but I think we can do better to provide those better rates for the learning community while not impacting the district bottom line. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, we did. All those in favor? We did. Thank you. Trustee Sargent, did you? Yes, Trustee Yang?
All right. My vote will be opposed for this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Sargent, did you want to continue with your?
I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And we did vote on that, did we?
Yes, and it's
Yes,
passed.
we did. Okay.
Policy Committee.
So Policy Committee is bringing a notice of motion for proposed minor revisions to policy 701.2-R capital project design review process. And so this is in accordance with creation and revision of policy regulations. And it will be presented at the March 13th, 2024 public meeting. And these were, I wouldn't say, well, they're kind of housekeeping items that were to change some of the terminology in the policy as per some terminology in Indigenous context, and then also changing stakeholders to educational partners, which is much better. So it was just changing some wording, and it doesn't change the meaning of the motions. It will be coming to March 13th.
Okay, thank you. We're at our board committee and representative reports, council board liaison committee. We attended a meeting that was held on January 31st, 2024, and the next meeting is scheduled for it was scheduled for Wednesday, April 10th, but I do believe that it might have been moved out, but I'll confirm that. And BCSTA, Trustee Yang?
Thank you. So Provincial Council is scheduled for this Saturday on the 24th, and I've been registered to attend. So thank you.
And BCPC? Yes. Yes, thank you.
Alternate attendant in my place.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm pleased to report that I attended the BCPC Annual General Meeting. It was held January 25, 2024 as alternate designate. And during the AGM, budget was passed and was approved for 2024-2025. KPMG was appointed as auditors for the years 2023-2024 to 2026-2027. And congratulations to Shirley Wilson and Eve Flynn, who were re-elected to the BCPC Board of Directors by acclamation. And there were two bylaw amendments that were passed. First, the spatial resolution, conflict of interest, that interpretation, part 1 and part 2 of the BCPC bylaws be amended to include common law conflict of interest. And the second one is that the BCPC bylaws be amended to deal effectively with the voting process and spoiled ballots during the election of the new trustee board members of the BCPC. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We are at correspondence for action and for information, and we have none. So with no further business, I will ask for a mover and seconder to adjourn. I've been talking too much today. Adjourn our meeting. Trustee Wong has moved by and seconded by Trustee Tablotny. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our gallery. Take good care. See you next time.